Welcome to Beyond Measure. We have an 18 by 18 artist canvas prepped with gesso. You'll need a Czar wood graining tool and some uber awesome asphaltum folk art by plaid paint. As you can tell, this particular paint has sat a bit and it's a little blobby, but it still works beautifully. This particular color works so beautifully. It has so many different color variations in it, as you can tell. Just swipe your paintbrush across your paint, creating almost like a little straight line or a plank. Then take the wood graining tool and rock it as you're going across so that you'll create knot holes. Woohoo! Up next is a Tiffany Doodles Digi-Stamp. To be more specific, this one's called Rooster. So I pulled it in to make the cut software, my favorite die cutting software, enlarging it to be a great size for the 18 by 18 canvas, then cut it with my cutting machine using a medium weight cardstock. I'm numbering the tail feathers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so forth to enable me to know the placement of the different pieces for later. And now for some Add a Little Dazzle metal sheets. This one is barn red. Flip your pattern over to be the opposite direction if you trace it from the back of the metal. This will enable the color to be on the correct side and it'll be facing the correct direction. Once tracing lightly, you'll want to take your refining and or embossing tool and emboss on top of an embossing mat or fun foam. Now to add more texture with the Cuttlebug Swiss Dots embossing folder and the Sizzix Texture Boutique embossing machine. You can purchase your metal adhesive sheets at addalittledazzle.com. You need to apply it before cutting out your embossed shapes so that everything is adhered perfectly from edge to edge. Woohoo! Now for the Cuttlebug. Now for more Add a Little Dazzle metal sheet in gold nugget. They used to call it pearl. You'll notice on each individual piece that the outside edge and or shape of the individual piece will need to be embossed with your refiner and sanded before adding texture in your Cuttlebug or your Texture Boutique. On this particular piece, I am going over the embossing around the edge. I don't suggest that you do this because it creates a few holes in the outer edge by doing it twice, but it's fine on this project because it's a rustic project. And for some more adhesive sheet, I just love it. Okay, let's trim it with our Tonic Tim Holtz scissors. Make sure not to trim off your embossed edge. Now see, this is a different way that you can go about using patterns with your metal. Take your pattern going the correct way, lightly tracing from the colored side of the metal, then flipping the metal over and embossing it on top of the embossing mat. Sand and then put some more texture on it with a texture embossing folder. Now we need to use some plaid Mod Podge to seal our wooden planks. This is the very first time I've ever used a wood graining tool and I am uber excited about the way it turned out. Now I'm sporadically spreading some white glue on top of my planks where I want to add some paint for a crackled or weathered or worn effect. Do not allow your glue to dry all the way. It can be tacky or completely wet when applying your acrylic/latex paint on top of it. Ooh, Burr Blue. That's the name of this color of metal from Add a Little Dazzle. Baby, it's cold inside. I'm using the wavy wheel from the toolkit to emboss the edge of this tail feather. Then I flipped it over and I'm using my refiner up against the edge. Bring in your scrap piece of chipboard to sand upon. Now use your large eraser tool to puff the metal by just adding a bit of pressure and swirling it around. Cut a piece of your adhesive sheet that will fit your tail feather. Peel the white protective backing off and apply to your metal. I love working with my Make the Cut software, the Tiffany Doodles Digistamp, and the AddLittleDazzle.com metal sheets. It's such a winning combination and it makes you look like a pro. Next up is our wonderful, magnificent Asphaltum Plaid Folk Art Paint. I squeezed a couple of tiny blobs onto my palette, added water, and now I'm using a grocery bag that is wadded up to age my metal. Wowzers, it really does a super awesome job. It looks a little bit rusty in person. It's so cool. We'll need to rust each and every piece that we've cut out of our rooster, which is the entire rooster. Go light it first to get a good feel for the aging, then feel free to age to your heart's desire. Next up, we have rusty chicken wire that I trimmed with my tonic Tim Holtz scissors, being careful to not allow the cut piece of chicken wire to poke you in the hand. Woohoo, it looks like it's getting to be that time. We're getting to assemble our project. This is so exciting. You'll notice I did take some creative licensing and added some other feathers up for his chest. Remember how we numbered our pattern pieces earlier? We also numbered the back of our metal pieces too. This enables us to assemble our piece with great ease. I wouldn't press really hard upon your first time of placement because this adhesive is very, very strong. Make sure to keep your outline or your skeleton of the rooster that you cut close by for placement of the pattern pieces upon your project. We'll use Ranger's glossy accents to adhere the black cardstock eye onto the metal. Then you'll use the glossy accents on top of it to add a glossiness or a wet, moist look like an eye. When you're pleased with the placement of your metal on your project, you'll need to apply more pressure to adhere it better to your surface, but please do not do so without something to support the middle part of your canvas. Otherwise, you could make it warp or stretch. Using the Make the Cut software and Tim Holtz grunge paper, these are some beautiful flourishes in which I got to cut on my cutting machine. Next, you'll need to paint them with some black acrylic paint, or sometimes it's called licorice. Paint both sides, let dry. Now for the fun part. And now for a couple of small squirts of asphaltum, 1 square of burnt umber, and 1 square of metallic bronze. Swirl together a bit and add a wadded up grocery sack. Now this is where the transformation begins. It is so awesome how easy this is, but how yet effective it is. It looks like rusted metal. Now to place it upon our project. Once you are pleased with the placement, you'll need to adhere it to the project. Using a winning combination of 3D glue dots and hot glue. I purposely did not adhere this extremely smooth, as I wanted it to continue to look like faux metal. And this is our completed project. Thank you so very much for coming. You are a very, very important person. Be blessed beyond measure.